Hello to those of you who, for some reason, decide to watch my channels, watch my videos. This video, I'm not going to be doing a review or playing any guitar. This review, it's going to be, or not this review, this video is going to be part of a series of videos that I'm going to do, probably three of them. I'm going to title the series "Gigging for Small Crowds." Now I know small crowds is an oxymoron. Basically, I'm talking about gigging in places where your audience is probably about maximum of 25 people. Maybe a few more, but generally less than 25. And um, basically, I'm talking about like going to nursing homes, retirement homes, um, different rehab hospitals, things like that. You're not going to get much more than that in an audience. But I want to talk about three parts. Right there. Why three parts? The first part is a little bit of why and where. Second part will be how to get those gigs, and also what you can typically expect for the room you'll get, and how long you'll get to perform, and the typical house rules. Finally, the third one's going to be the do's and don'ts. So you don't get kicked out, and so you don't make it bad for any other person that might want to come there. You're leaving a bad taste in your mouth by violating a lot of things that are typical in almost all the places. Okay, so that being said, I've been doing this for several years now. Played several different nursing homes, the cerebral palsy home in my county, um, Sunday school classes. I just want to just talk a little bit about why would you want to do that? You might say, why would I want to play at some small place? For one thing, you're not going to get paid for this. You know, you're not, these places I'm talking about, there's no budget to pay you. You're just doing this on your own. Okay, so you say, well, okay, I'm not going to make any money for it. Why do I want to go play someplace, and especially play someplace regular like that? Well, there's a couple reasons. It's not always about the money. Yeah, I mean, I understand we have to earn a living things, but it's not always about the money. First off, there's going to come a time, as you've been playing, where you want to play more than just play at home, play in your bedroom, or play in your garage, or play in your basement. You'd like to play where some other people can hear you. You know, and I say this is a good starting ground for those people. It's not the only reason to do it, but I just want to say for that group of people who actually want to play paying gigs and things like that, let me tell you from firsthand experience, playing in front of people is very different than playing in your home. You might think, oh, I won't get any nerves, this, that. But you might be that rare exception that doesn't have any nerves the first time they go and play in public. But for the rest of us mere mortals, that first time, or even two or three times in public, can be very intimidating. So you think about that. Do you really want to start off trying to sell a paying gig and have that happen, and possibly have whoever contracted with you refuse to pay you because the performance was so bad because you froze? You know, and you don't want to start off. Word gets out, hey, don't want to hire these people. They show up, they can't even play. So you don't want to start off your first paying gigs being your very first time in public. And I mean, I don't play in bars, but if you play a bar, do you really want to freeze at a bar where some people might just get downright angry if you really stunk, you're messing it up? It could get into an ugly situation. And if you freeze your first time out, you're tougher to go, probably not get hired back at that place again. So I would advise your first public appearance to be a paying gig. You want to start somewhere where, for one thing, the audiences these places are very forgiving, because they know you're coming there for free. I mean, they're not going to boo you. The worst that might happen is just nobody claps or nobody congratulates you. That'd be like the worst. But the reality is most of these places, if you just show up and do something, they're happy. That they're happy that somebody cared and showed up because they know you're not getting paid for it. You just did this out of the kindness of your heart. So you're not going to have a hostile audience. You're not going to have somebody that's going to boo you, and generally they're going to be polite no matter if you freeze up or not. So it's a good place to start. Now, there's going to be people like me who never plan on getting paid a dime to play and sing or whatever in public. And for some of us, for some of us it's a ministry. Some of us do it because of the blessing, because we just want to make somebody else spread a little bit of light, a little sunshine into somebody else's life. Because let's face it, the places I'm talking about, if you're there, you're not at the best moments of your life. You know, you probably have some kind of physical impairment. You've got some kind of thing. You're probably not getting out a whole lot at this point in your life. So so to go in there and just spread a little. In fact, because they know that you're doing it for free, that you're coming in there, there's an appreciation. There's just the fact that you came. And then the fact that you tried to share. And the big thing is, especially if you're really being genuine when you're playing, you're not going through the motions, you're really showing trying to get your message of music across, they're going to really appreciate that. And there's a lot of value that can't be measured in any kind of accountant's book, any kind of checkbook, of bringing a little bit of cheer or a little bit of hope or a little bit of discouragement or just a little bit of pleasure into somebody else's life. That, to me is worth way more than any amount of money that I could reasonably ever make for playing. And I understand that some of you at your point in life, you want to be the next rock star, country star, things like that. But that's still a good reason to do that, because you want to spread some goodwill. Because let me tell you, if you're only in it for the fame and the money, you're probably not going to become a great star. You look at who really plays, who really does well. There are people that they're really about their music. They're about getting out their message and song. And the fact that they can make money at it is just a bonus. It's not their goal. The really truly great ones, it's about spreading their music and their song, their message, not about the money, not about fame. Because those things are fleeting. And if that's your motivation, you're not going to get that real heart message that you want to get out in song. When you're playing music, you want something to come from here to their heart and mind. And if it's only up here, it's just not going to be the same as if it comes out of here. My particular style of music, I call it soul gospel. I don't have a pretty voice. I don't have any kind of beauty at all about my voice. But I sing from the heart, and I play from the heart. And I try to do songs that have deep messages, that message to the heart. So the message transcends the sound quality, the audio quality, and all that, and makes a connection with the person you're playing for. And there's some very famous musicians, and I don't want to denigrate any of them, but they really don't have a pretty voice, but they've been very popular, because when you listen to it, you start forgetting about their voice and you hear what they're singing about and the story they're telling. And that's where you make the connection. So anyways, I just wanted to tell you that those are some of the things you want to take to those places. And like I said, the plenty of nursing homes, plenty of different kinds of rehab hospitals, things where people are there for short stays, but don't have a community room, places you can go. And so I just wanted to, talk about those a little bit. Today's video's kind of short, just talking about the benefits of it, why you might want to do it. And it's just a decent thing to do, because I know most of these places have a lot of slots that are not being filled, and they have no budget, and they don't know where to find. Because if you're not getting paid, you probably don't have a website for it, this, that. They don't know where to find people to ask them. But, so, you might want to think about those places, because You don't even have to travel far for them because unless you live in a really remote rural region, if you live close to a town, every town has one. In fact, usually several. There's always places like this. You can find them all over the place. They exist all over. If you can't find one, you're not looking very hard. I'll put it that way. If you're not finding one, you really didn't look. I can understand maybe if you're younger. When you're my age, you find them because you got a lot of friends that have already gone to them, or you've had parents that went to them, and you've been visiting them. Maybe if you're young, you may not know, but if you're young, you may have gone along to visit grandma or grandpa or an aunt or an uncle that's in one, and so you're aware of them. They're all over the place. You probably just don't notice them a lot because it's not, unless you have a loved one in there, you have no reason to go there. But they're all over the place. They exist. There's always people getting old. There's always people who are infirm. So there's a lot of different places like that. There's some that are places that specialize, in different kinds of infirmities and have people there and so I just want to encourage you if you never played in public, sooner or later you're going to want to. Just playing at home, and if you're playing for your immediate family of your home, that's still not the same as playing in public. When you're playing in front of people who you don't know, it's a little different the first time or two, and so it can be a little bit. But what happens is after a while you'll get to enjoy it. Then after a while you'll get to know. If you keep going back, if you do set up, my advice is start out, try to find a place and see if you can get a regular gig there, maybe once a month. Once a week might be a little tough, unless you got a big repertoire of material to cover. Once a week might be tough because you don't want to go back week after week playing the same songs every single week. It's okay to have some repeats in there, but you don't want to go play the same 6 songs or however many songs you have week after week after week. Now if you go to a nursing home once a month, you probably can get away with playing the same songs because I don't want to say that. That's cruel, but chances are they won't. Even I don't care what age you are. If you come back once a month, they may not remember. Just don't play them in the same order. At least mix it up a little bit. But my advice is, each time you go back, even if it's monthly, you want to have 1 or 2 new songs in there. You don't want to just be doing the same material. So, but I would advise trying to get in monthly to start. But you want to do something regular, not just once here and there, because you want to get used to play. Because if it's too far apart, you're not going to get used to playing in front. And I wouldn't jump into weekly unless you've got a lot of material that you can play and hit a lot of different things. If you have a lot of material that you can cover, that you can play, then go ahead and jump in weekly because you'll get used to playing in front of groups much quicker. And decide to commit to it for at least a little while, before you start being booked. If your goal is to get the paying gigs and stuff, before you start getting booked full gigs, give it a little while just to be fair to them. They sat through your first time or two when you weren't at your best. So stick around a little while once you've gotten used to it to play for them a little bit. That's just common courtesy. Don't go get twice. Okay, that went good. Now I'm going to go off and get a paying gig. Give them a little while. Give them a couple months, and because at the end of the day, when you're playing for people, it really shouldn't be all about you. If you're doing music and it's all about you, you're not going to have a great song and you're not going to have a great message. When you put out music to people, it should be about them. You're trying to put out a song in a way to reach them. And the moment you forget that it's about them and not about you, you're not going to touch them in here. That's just my words of wisdom for any of you out there that, when you go out, try to make sure you're touching them here. Really put yourself in. Don't go through the motions. Play you know, and don't say, "Oh, I'm just in an old folks' home or this or that." Those are people. Those are people, and whether or not they paid or it was free is irrelevant. Playing to reach them should be the whole goal. Because if you get in the habit of playing to reach people down here, you'll be successful no matter how you go, because that's what it's all about. So, anyways, I think I ran a little over. Didn't want to make these real long. So that's all I have for this one. And I'll probably be putting out part 2 in another week. I have set a goal. Now, I might not always do these 1 week apart. There could be a little bit of time apart. But I set a goal of putting out 1 video on YouTube a week. That's about all I can really handle. Recording and then cleaning up in the software. I'm still getting used to that. So those of you, couple people who subscribe to my channel, I mean, I don't have a lot of subscribers, and I never really set out to have a lot of subscribers. I'm just hoping I could help a couple people along their life journey. Okay, you have a great day.